Hey guys, welcome back to Fast Track New Agent Training. This is Module 7, and in Module 7, we are going to cover the process. The process from the day you meet your client to the day the home either goes on the market or has a contract, what happens after the contract all the way to closing. All right, so depending on which side you represent, it's going to be a little different, although you're both working on the same thing. So let's look at it from the listing point of view first. You are going to be working with a seller. You have secured the listing contract with the seller. The very first thing that I always do is I explain the process to them. You know, Mr. and Ms. Seller, here is what's going to happen now that we have the listing on your home. The first thing we're going to do is as soon as your home is ready, and you may have to have that declutter cleanup conversation, but as soon as your home is ready, Mr. and Ms. Seller, I'm going to have my photographer come in. They'll take pictures of the house for the listing, make it look beautiful. One really quick caveat there is you don't want to spend money on photographs until the home is ready to be photographed. It may need cleaning out. It may need decluttering, and that's a conversation that you need to have with them. Go back and watch the video on working with sellers for that conversation. But all that has been done. We are going to have the photographer come in. He'll take listing pictures, and this is what's going to happen next. We will do a detailed listing of your home in the MLS. I will measure all rooms to make sure the measurements are correct. I'll make sure that I mention all the wonderful features of the home. I'll write the description, and we'll get that put in the MLS. We will get a sign put in your yard. If you are in a market where you're doing open houses, you explain to them that they have the option of doing an open house. Of course, it isn't required. Some clients want you to do an open house, some don't. So depending on where you are, you explain that process to them. So that takes you to the point where the house is on the market. You will get showings. Explain to them, you know, we have to show the home. We can't really sell it without showing it. So we have to have showings. We have to make it very convenient for people to come in. Every now and then you might get that seller who says, well, I don't want an open house. I don't want people traipsing through my home. We can't sell your house without folks coming in. They will always be accompanied by another agent. They're not ever going to be left alone. They're not going to rifle through your stuff. You know, you just have to make them feel comfortable. Sometimes they may require that you be on hand, even if you're not the one showing the home. See that a lot with higher end listings. That's up to you how you deal with that. So the home is on the market. You start to get offers. You know, if you get multiple offers, what I like to do is use the multiple offer listing sheet that we provide in the group, and I will put the details of every offer, and then I will go and sit down with my client and say, okay, here are the offers we have. Here's the asking price. Here's the terms and conditions. My advice is that this is the best offer, but it's up to you which offer you choose. So they choose an offer, there's negotiations back and forth, the contract is signed. What happens next? All right, if you are the listing agent, what you should do is, what I do is I always will send the contract and the paperwork over to the title company. I'll make sure that the buying agent gets me an earnest money check, and typically we deposit that with the title company. But what I do from that point as a listing agent is kind of just manage the process, because what's going to happen is the buying agent, if you are the buying agent, and there is an addendum or a requirement to do an inspection, you're going to get that inspection lined up. That's if you're the buyer's agent. You are going to get the inspection lined up. That's your responsibility. You need to let the listing agent know, okay, the inspector would like to come Tuesday at 3 o'clock. Please get that approved. The inspector will come. The inspector will do the inspection, and he will create a report that he will send to the buyer's agent. Now, a lot of times, buyers want to be on hand during the inspection. I always discourage that, mainly because inspectors hate it when people are looking over their shoulders and they can't do their job effectively. But if your seller or your buyer wants to be there, you need to be there as well. Again, manage the situation. Don't let the buyer drive the inspector crazy. So the inspector does the inspection. He issues the report to the buying agent. Now, What I like to do is I like to review that report before it goes to my clients, because if there are issues, it will scare the death out of most clients and your deal could fall apart. I've seen it happen over and over and over. An inspection report that is very detailed with a lot of little things. They may not even be major. They may be small, insignificant, quick repairs. Simply because of the volume, it will scare away a lot of buyers. So what I ask the inspector to do is send me the report first. Let me review it. Let me look at the summarized list of things that may need to be taken care of. So when I do share that with my buyer, I can temper his fear by saying, now I'm going to send this over to you. Don't let it scare you. I've gone through it. Most of these issues are very minor, very easy to take care of. Even if there's something major, you got a leaky roof, you got a broken HVAC, I want to ease into that rather than call them up going, well, man, that HVAC is shot. Okay? Remember what we talked about in the last video. It's your job to solve problems, not make them worse. So you will get the report. You will get together with your client to review the report and create a request for repairs. Now, of course, we have here in our MLS, we have a paragraph 4, which basically just says major systems must be in good working order at the time of close. Major systems being electrical, plumbing, structural, roof, that sort of thing. So what I do is, and I go in depth in this in another video about the dealing with the inspection reporting, creating the repair request, I'll categorize the list of repairs. I will make sure that I present what's important and what are little minor insignificant. There are going to be things on that inspection report that really aren't legitimate repair requests, okay? So it's your job to manage that and not frighten your clients to death. So we will review the inspection report. We will create a request for repairs and then submit that to the listing agent. So if you're the listing agent, you will receive the inspection report. You will receive the list of repairs. Now it's your job to get with your client and review the report and the requested repairs and determine which repairs, if any, the client must make if they're under paragraph 4, or if it's a VA loan, they mandate quite a bit of stuff, and which repairs are optional and which repairs they're not going to make. Now let me say this. Sellers do not have to make any repairs. They don't have to. They are not contractually bound to make repairs. The deal may fall through if they don't, but they cannot be forced to make repairs. Now, if they're smart and they know the repairs need to be made, they will work with the other side, with the buyers, to get those repairs done. If they don't want to do repairs, they can always offer a cash incentive in lieu of repairs. I see this a lot, especially with sellers that don't have the money to make those repairs. Okay, so that goes like this. Okay, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, we've got these legitimate repair requests here. We've had them looked at. We've got them priced out. They're going to cost about $5,000. What you can do, if you do not have the money or time or want to mess with these repairs, we can offer $5,000 off the price in lieu of repairs. I've seen that work beautifully time and time again. Sometimes it doesn't work because, again, the lender, especially VA, Navy Federal, those folks, they want certain repairs to be made. And if that's the case, you'll just have to work out how those repairs get made. But if your seller says, I'm not making any repairs, I'm not going to sign this, I'm not going to do any of it, well, chances are that is going to kill the deal. And you have to let them know, though, this is the process. Okay, if this deal falls through and we put the house back on the market, well, guess what? There's going to be another inspection. There's going to be another repair request. We're going to be right back where we started from. The alternative is to put the house on the market as is with no repairs. If you do that, you are going to scare away a huge portion of your buyer pool. The only ones that will be able to buy the house are those getting either cash deals or conventional loan that doesn't mandate repairs. Even then, if there are major issues, very few buyers are going to go through and buy that deal. So my recommendation is you do your best to keep this deal together, because a deal on the table is better than no deal at all. So even if you have to go back and negotiate, and remember, it's an emotional time. The seller is going to be emotional about not making any repairs. The buyer is going to be emotional about getting all of the repairs done. It's up to you, whether you're on the buy side or the sell side, to manage that process. But in a perfect world, the seller says, okay, I will make these repairs. The buyer agrees to it. The repairs get made by the seller. The seller gets the repairs made. He keeps the invoices. He turns those over to you, and you can present them to the other side. All right. After the repairs, if there is a loan involved, there is going to be an appraisal. And this means that the lender, your buyer's lender, is going to order an appraisal. An appraiser will come in, do the appraisal on the house, and hopefully the house will appraise at asking price or greater. If it does, great. You should be then on your way to close. If it doesn't appraise, then you have to deal with that. We have another video on what to do if a property doesn't appraise. All right, but the appraisal's settled. Now we are all set. The lender will do their thing while the title company runs the title. The lender will issue the loan documents, and there is a 3-day waiting period, a cool-off period, where the buyer can say, I want out of this, or I want to stay in. But they have to go that full 3 days before we can close. All right, but again, if all goes well, that's the process. The home is on the market. If you're the listing agent, you do everything you're supposed to do to get it marketed and sold. If you're the buyer's agent, you're going to bring the buyer. There's a contract in place. There is an inspection. There's an inspection report. There may be a request for repairs. Then there is going to be the repairs being made, the appraisal, the lender getting everything in underwriting, and then passing it off to the title company. Keep this in mind. Things could go south at any point of that process. There may be an argument over repairs. There may be more repairs than you thought would happen, and the buyer won out of the deal. The buyer's funding may fall through. They may not be able to get a loan. Remember, when you do this, normally with offers, there are those contingencies. It's contingent on the satisfactory results of a home inspection, meaning that there's no surprises. If the home inspection is not satisfactory, the buyer can walk away and get their earnest money back. And then there is always the home must appraise for purchase price or greater. If the home does not appraise, the buyer must be either willing to bring cash to the table to make up the appraisal gap, or the seller has to drop the price. So that's a point of negotiation as well. Again, the loan could fall through. Something could happen. The buyer could have a job change, or they may do something silly like go buy a car on credit or something like that. So as the agent, it doesn't matter which side you are on, you have to manage that process all the way through from start to finish. Your job begins when you meet the client, and it ends when you leave the client after closing. Everything in between there is up to you to manage, and that is your job, whether you are buying agent or selling agent. Hopefully that was helpful. If you have questions about that, drop them in the comments below. We will be going over or doing individual videos for every point of that, the inspection, the loans, the appraisal. We'll have videos on that. But again, if you have questions or comments, drop them in below and I'll address them with the group. All right, hopefully that was helpful. You learned something, and I will see you in the next module.